Professor Nathan, let's take a look at the legal opinion which was released on guidelines against Taiwan independence or pro-independence activists, which threaten punishment up to the death penalty. These are the acts which Beijing says are can be tried and punished: forming a Taiwan independence organization or program, directing people to carry out activities that split the country or undermine national unity, attempting to change the legal status of Taiwan as a part of China by law, attempting to create two Chinas or one China, one Taiwan in the international community by promoting Taiwan's membership in international organizations that require statehood, or by engaging in official exchanges or military contacts with other countries. So Nathan, what do you make of all this? How seriously do we need to take it?
It's part of mainland China's what you might call lawfare, right? So their strategy toward Taiwan is multidimensional. There's the economic strategy, which is to create more dependence by Taiwan. There's the military threat strategy. There's the strategy in other capitals of trying to break diplomatic relations with Taiwan and so forth. And then the lawfare part of it is, for example, the anti-separatism law that they passed, I forget when. Lawfare is to take their claim that Taiwan is a part of China and there is only one China, and then spell out the legal ramifications of that to consolidate the idea that this is a body of law and we really mean it. I think that's what it stands for right now. I think as well, it's a kind of political threat to, not to the top leadership of Taiwan because they are, as it were, too committed already, but to those who may want to cooperate with them in some way. And in that respect, it has the typical vagueness of Chinese law, which is that we don't know who it applies to, and we don't even know what the crimes consist of. In that respect, it's similar to the national security law in Hong Kong, which gives you 5 crimes, and the crimes are very vaguely defined and who it applies to. But in the case of Hong Kong, as you know, they ended up really arresting people. In the case of Taiwan, since they don't control Taiwan, what they're saying is, if you're a smaller player down the line and you are thinking about whether to cooperate with the government of Taiwan or not, you'd have to think about, what if China does get control? Then are they going to come after me at that point? So it has that threat element for the future.
So you think it's for the future? You think that it needs to wait for a period, for the time when China actually controls Taiwan, so not now?
I mean, not now. It's a threat for people who may feel that they have a choice of doing any of these things. And then they have to think, will I regret this in 20 years from now? But in terms of actually sentencing somebody to jail or for death penalty, that's not now.
They said they would do it in absentia, though.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And so...
and Taiwan's government has essentially told Taiwanese not to travel to China, obviously, Hong Kong and Macau. So they appear to be taking it as pretty serious.
Well, that's true. They have arrested, as you know, in the past, some Taiwan residents for human rights activities and so forth. So it is, and they've arrested, I mean, they have engaged in hostage diplomacy with Australia and with the United States and with certain companies. So they are, if you show up in mainland China, they're totally capable of arresting somebody for any reason.
What do you make of the extradition countries, though? For example, Thailand, which has extradited people from Hong Kong before.
Yeah, and Thailand has extradited Uyghurs, and some of the other, Malaysia has done so, and other countries have done so. So yes, it does have that.
Professor Cohen, as Professor Nathan mentioned, this is the law is premised on the fact that Taiwan is part of China, which obviously Taiwan rejects. from your extensive field studies on both sides of the strait and the decades of research, can you tell us how you approach this issue of whether Taiwan is part of China?
Well, in a sense, I don't approach the issue in the sense that the issue is not something dealing with cosmic forces. The issue is totally dealing with human opinion. And human opinion politically based and due to a variety of cultural circumstances. So that whether or not one views Taiwan as part of China is precisely, it's a view, but it's certainly not rooted in some kind of natural position. So my own position is as I observe that there is a conflict over that issue, and I accept it as a conflict, and one, of course, is interested in the reasons for the conflict.
So would you like to tell me about the importance of Taiwanese identity into perhaps this issue, or whether you believe there is no link?
Oh, I think there's an extraordinarily powerful link. I think now we're getting down to the realm of human activity, and there is indeed a strongly felt Taiwanese identity. Taiwanese identity is a very interesting issue because it is framed within a particular political context of island Taiwan. There are certain exceptions. There are certain people here who advocate that Taiwan is part of China. They advocate it, okay. But the point I'm making is that the entire discussion there's no God-given definition of the situation.
Okay. How about how political participation of the Taiwanese since Taiwan democratized, and even the middle class, what sort of influence has that had on the Taiwanese identity?
Well, I think it's an extremely powerful influence because participation always brands you in a very positive way. So I think we have to look back historically. Taiwanese identity began to form when Taiwan was ceded to Japan. It's very old, and under the Japanese there were a variety of developments. But then, of course, you had the tumult following Japan's surrender, and in many cases, a Taiwanese identity, in some cases, was forced upon the Taiwanese precisely by the actions of other parties. Taiwanese identity, again, has been congealing within this larger social and political framework. And in many cases, Taiwanese identity is now just taken for granted. It's not, people don't say, oh, I am Taiwanese, and walk down the street worrying about it. But it's part of it's stamping people's personality, yes.
Mm. I mean, there is a link, isn't there, between Taiwanese identity and then perhaps self-determination, which comes under the UN Charter.
Well, there's a link, yes, yeah. But again, that's the domain of legality. But I'm referring more to a social cultural framing of Taiwanese identity.